Welcome back once again to Diving Into the Grand Line, the series where we dive deep into topics straight from the world of One Piece. Today we'll finally be discussing my favorite of the gears, Gear 5, otherwise known as Luffy's Peak. We'll be discussing its origins and influences, how it works, and of course its effects and repercussions on Luffy. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Gear 5 was first used in chapter 1044 of the manga, which correlates to episode 1071 of the anime. This was during Luffy's final fight against Kaido. Although episode 1071 is when it was fully revealed, it did have a brief appearance in One Piece Film Red exactly a year prior. Before any of this though, Oda actually hinted at Gear 5 in volume 98's SBS, where someone asked him what's coming up in the manga, with him responding that the world was moving towards 5G networks. Get it? 5G, Gear 5... But anyway, Gear 5 is the awakened form of Luffy's Gomu Gomu no Mi, formerly known as the Hito Hito no Mi Model Nika as revealed in this arc as well, or the Human Fruit in English, and it functions similarly to an awakening of a Paramecia Devil Fruit. This form provides an increase in Luffy's strength and speed, of course, but more importantly, it allows much more freedom, allowing him to fight in whatever way he wants to. This form has been said to bring joy and freedom to everyone around it, with Luffy being dubbed the Warrior of Liberation because of this form's ridiculous power and nature, which the form is also described as the most ridiculous power in the world. Gear 5 takes inspiration from old school rubber hose animation, from the old Tom and Jerry Looney Tunes, Mickey Mouse shorts, that type of animation. Following the serious Gear 4th form, Oda wanted to draw something more fun to bring the fun aspect back to shonen manga, as over time the genre has been drawn out with super serious fights with little fun or comedy within them. He wanted to create a contrast between Kaido's seriousness and Luffy's free cartooniness. Luffy's transformation into this form begins with a distinct change in his heartbeat, in which Zunisha dubs the Drums of Liberation. And once transformed, Luffy has a radically different appearance from any of his other gears and any other transformation in the series for that matter. In this form, all of Luffy's clothes turn white except for his straw hat, sandals, and belt. In addition to this, white clouds appear around his neck and his pupils turn red. His eyebrows also turn white, with them also becoming bouncy and swirly. All of this reverts once Luffy deactivates Gear 5, of course, though. As with any transformation, this form increases Luffy's strength, durability, and speed, but the difference between other ones is that this form does it to an absurd degree. He was able to finally defeat Kaido after losing about 4 times, and he's able to tank several of his attacks, coming out almost completely unscathed. Kaido was built up to be unbeatable and feared by pretty much everyone who came across him, so the fact that Luffy is now on equal footing with him is an insane feat in itself. Later on in the Egghead arc, Luffy is able to overpower Rob Lucci in both strength and speed in his own awakened form, easily, by the way. And it's so crazy seeing that, remembering how much trouble Lucci was giving Luffy way back when on Enies Lobby, like, what a fall from grace, right? But even after taking crazy attacks from people like Kaido, Lucci, and now Kizaru, Luffy's able to get right back up and fight. Another feat in this form is that he is now able to spin his legs fast enough to the point where he's running in mid-air. Now, like I mentioned before, the real big thing with this form, it grants Luffy much more freedom and flexibility. Freedom as in Luffy's able to attack however he wants, and he's free to do whatever he wants, and of course he takes this to the cartoony extreme. Kaido compares this to something out of a picture book, quote unquote, but I think a better example would be an old cartoon character like Bugs Bunny or something. A good example of how cartoony this gets is when Kaido hits Luffy with his Hasakai, and I don't even want to describe this scene, I just want to show it to you yourself. I want you to see it for yourself. I can't describe this. To put it simple, when Luffy's in this form, he becomes the embodiment of squash and stretch animation. Luffy is also able to use the limb inflation of Gear 3rd and the muscle inflation of Gear 4th without having to blow air into his body. He's able to make his arms so huge, in fact, that he was able to crash into the Skull Dome and yank Kaido's transformed body out of him and swing him around like a rag doll. He's also able to turn himself into a massive giant, so this form is just overpowered. Luffy's rubbery body can also manipulate the environment around him, For example, he was shown to be able to extend a section of the roof to bounce back Kaido's bolo breath without the material burning whatsoever. This is Kaido we're talking about. He was able to do this to Kaido. To Kaido's attack. Like, it just, like, this form is so overpowered. He's also shown to be able to make surfaces in order to cushion his falls, and he can also manipulate things like Kaido's body. For example, when he got swallowed, making Kaido's body inflate. He can also materialize things, stuff as goggles, but this is typical gag humor. Despite the disgusting amount of pros with this form, it does come with its own set of drawbacks. Of course, like any transformation. Because of Luffy's inexperience when using this form, I mean, he kind of just transforms into it all randomly, it consumes tons of energy when in use, causing Luffy to look like a used condom after using it. Despite that, Luffy can transform right back into this form by forcing his heartbeat to be in rhythm with the drums of liberation, so it's not too big of a deal, I'll admit. Awakenings of Zou and Devil Fruits also have the risk of whatever animal the fruit is derived from taking over the user's mind. In Luffy's case, it's the sun god Nika. Onto the attacks, this form introduces a plethora of brand new attacks for Luffy to use. These attacks include Gum Gum Balloon, Gum Gum Giant, which is basically if Gear 3rd extended to his entire body, Gum Gum Barrage Gun, which is Gear 5's version of Gum Gum King Kong Gun, Gum Gum Mole Pistol, Gum Gum Dawn Whip, and Gum Gum Dawn Rocket. Some other attacks include Gum Gum Lightning, Gum Gum Dawn Stamp, and my favorite, Gum Gum Jump Rope. Gear 5 seems to be Luffy's last gear, as it's been referred to as Luffy's peak, and what a form to end on, I must say. Gear 5 is easily my favorite of all the gears, and it's been so much fun to read and now watch this form in action, and I'm so happy that Oda took the route that he did in subverting everyone's expectations, and I can't wait to see more of this form down the line. I hope you enjoyed this episode of diving into the Grand Line, as I've now finished going over all of the gears. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what my next video is or what my next episode on Grand Line is gonna be at the moment, but it will be out soon, and I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I can't wait to see you on the next video. I'm out.